Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 16th, 2017.
Is there now a looming Republican civil war? And will this help the Democrats sweep back into power in next year's midterm elections? That's the question right now. 617-266-6868. But before I get to that, the poll question of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Do you think we will ever truly know what happened in Las Vegas? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If, like me, no way. There's no way. We're never going to know what really happened. Text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Brittany, what are the poll results thus far?
91% no, we will not know the motive, and 9% yes, we eventually will find out the motive.
Yeah, I think I'm with the audience on this one.
I don't think we're going to find out the motive at all.
We're never. They're going to bury this one.
Of course
they're going to bury it so deep, like with Jimmy Hoffa's body. That's how deep they're going to bury it. That's going to go with Jimmy.
I'm really surprised that the victims of this haven't come out and said, why don't we know what happened here? Why was I shot, or why was my loved one killed? I'm just very surprised that a lot of the victims have been hush-hush. There's only been one person to file a lawsuit. I find that strange.
I think that's going to change, Brittany, in the next couple of weeks. I think the longer this thing drags out and their incompetence is so obviously on display, I think you're going to start to see a lot more victims complaining. But anyway, we'll see. Okay. Steve Bannon is now on the warpath. And right now, as I speak to you, there is a huge brewing populist, nationalist, conservative insurgency. And now Bannon is amassing the grassroots of the Trump army, and he's going to turn them against the establishment. And in particular, I've discussed this before, but he really unveiled his plan this weekend at the Values Voters Summit in Washington, D.C. And in particular, he is going to go after Bob Corker's Senate seat in Tennessee. He's the powerful chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Corker has now said he's going to retire. He wants to fully back his challenger, Marsha Blackburn, a solid conservative. He's going to go after establishment Republican Dean Heller in Nevada. He's going to go after establishment Rhino Deb Fischer in Nebraska. He's going to go after another establishment Republican, this one from Wyoming, Senator Barrasso. And so there are 16 Republicans up for re-election. He is going to target 15 of them. Jeff Flake is another one by backing Kelly Ward against the Never Trump Rhino that is Flake. And he predicts that they're going to flip these 15, knock out the Rhino Republicans. These are all Mitch McConnell's loyalists. They're all loyal to Mitch the Squish. Deprive McConnell of oxygen. The goal is to force McConnell out as majority leader and have Trump's people, Trump conservatives, Trump insurgents, Trump populists, execute a hostile takeover of the Republican Party. As Bannon put it, this is now a season of war. Roll it, Brittany.
There's a time and season for everything. And right now, it's a season of war against a GOP establishment. As Bob Corker has trashed the commander-in-chief of our armed forces while we have young men and women in harm's way, right? Well, he said he's leading them on a path to World War III, that he is not stable, that people have to keep him moderated, that it's an adult center, and they took the morning shift off, while some U.S. senator in a position of that authority, for the first time in the history of our republic, has mocked and ridiculed a commander-in-chief when we have kids in the field. Have I seen Barrasso come to a stick and condemn that? Have I seen Deb Fischer come to a stick and condemn that? Have I seen Heller come to a stick and condemn that? You have not. And let me give a warning to you. Nobody can run and hide on this one. These folks are coming for you. The day of taking a few nice conservative votes and hiding is over.
He hit that to me, that's the war call. That's the clarion call now to political arms. And I've got to say, Bannon is a man after my own heart. This is something we should have done 20, 25 years ago, but let that go. Better late than never. Because on this, he's 1,000% correct. So here you have Senator Bob Corker, and I talked about this before, openly mocking the President of the United States, saying he's unhinged, he's unstable. The White House has turned into an adult daycare center. He's going to lead us to World War III. Here you have the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, openly mocking, openly defying, openly ridiculing the President of the United States. And of course, the mainstream media is just lapping it up. They love it. They love it. Where were the Republicans? In fact, as I pointed out, McConnell defended Corker. In fact, that was the point of my most recent column. McConnell went and sided with Corker in this feud with Trump. So, these are people who have stabbed us every step of the way. They stabbed us on Obamacare. They stabbed us on open borders. They stabbed us on amnesty. They have, you name the issue, and they have shafted their base. And let me tell you, in essence now, what is going to bring about this civil war and maybe potentially the downfall of the Republican establishment. It's that when they were confronted with the choice between supporting their constituents, their base, their voters, the American people, or their donors, they sided with their donors. They sided with the Chamber of Commerce. Like Judas, they took the money. They took their 30 pieces of silver. Well, now, my friends, comes the reckoning. And listen now to Steve Bannon saying on issues of trade, on issues of the wall, immigration, amnesty, war, all of these key bread and butter issues, that the heartland wants an America First populist agenda. If we can flip and defeat these establishment rhinos and turn the tide in Washington, Trump will win with an historic landslide. Roll it, Brittany.
Populist, nationalist, conservative revolt that's going on, that drove Donald Trump to victory, that drove Judge Moore to victory, that will drive 15 candidates to victory in 2018. And well, and I hate to break the news to Graydon Carter and the folks, good folks at Vanity Fair, but yes, President Trump's not only going to finish this term, he's going to win with 400 electoral votes in 2020.
In other words, he's saying you thought his 300 plus, whatever, 307 electoral college victory was a stunner in 2016. You ain't seen nothing yet. And so what's going on here, make no mistake about it, my friends. We're now in a state of political, ideological, and cultural war within the Republican Party. It's on. Whether you want the war to happen or you don't want the war to happen, it's now on. The battle for the heart and soul of the Republican Party is taking place. And let me tell you what I see happening. I think Kelly Ward is going to smash Jeff Flake. I think Dean Heller is in big trouble. I think Deb Fischer is in trouble. I think Barrasso is in trouble. And the bigger trouble that they're in, the more Mitch McConnell's grip on power is going to get more and more tenuous. And if Mitch McConnell goes, Paul Rhino Ryan will go. And so immediately now, the rhinos are panicking. The rhinos are now saying Bannon is the enemy. Not the Democrats, not the mainstream media, not the liberals, not the dear leader, not Hillary Clinton. No, 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 no. It's Bannon and the Trump wing of the Republican Party. So listen to that fraud, Susan Collins, who, by the way, decided not to run for governor because she couldn't even win a primary among her fellow Republicans. She would have gotten her clock cleaned by Republicans if she ran for governor, so she decided not to. She's going to stay a senator. Good luck in 2020, because she's another one we're going to take down. Okay? But listen now to this fraud. Whine and complain about Bannon and this insurgency. Roll it, Brittany.
Obviously, Mr. Bannon has the right to support whomever he wants to support, but I think his rhetoric is exactly what the American people are tired of. They don't want this hyper-partisanship. They want us to work together, and they want us to get things done. They want us to work across the aisle. They want us to work with the president. And Mr. Bannon's over-the-top rhetoric is not helpful. Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader. The president needs him. I'm glad that they're working together on tax reform and a lot of other issues, and I'm glad that they're meeting this week. Mr. Bannon's comments are not helpful in that regard.
You mean the way you worked with the president on Obamacare? You mean the way you work with the president on tax cuts? You mean the way you work with the president on the wall? You phony, you fraud, you. His comments are not helpful. His kind of rhetoric is over the top. I mean, I did. She's pathetic. I mean, seriously, to me, how the hell do the good, self-respecting people of Maine put this moron, this imbecile, as their senator? I mean, what has she done for the people of Maine? Nothing. Zilch. Nada. And you look at her on policy, you look at her on her positions, whether it be on amnesty, whether it be on borders, whether it be on the wall, whether it be on climate change, whether it be on tax cuts, whether it be on Obamacare, whether it be, you name it, abortion, same-sex marriage, Second Amendment. I can run down the whole list. Why isn't she a Democrat? What she is she's a Democrat with an R beside her name, i.e., a Republican in name only. My friends, what you're now seeing is the beginning of the end of the Republican establishment. And my question to you is this. As now every single one of these establishment rhinos are going to be primaried, all of them, this civil war, will it bleed and divide the Republican Party to such an extent that the Democrats will come right up the middle and sweep the Republicans out of power, whether it be in the House or in the Senate, and maybe pave the way for impeachment? Is Bannon potentially committing political suicide for the Republican Party, or is this just exactly the kind of takeover that we've been asking for and that the party desperately needs? 617-266-6868. Is this the rebirth of the Republican Party, or is this now the beginning of the Democrat takeover and maybe the impeachment of Trump? 617-266-6868. Your calls, your reaction next. Bring down the thunder, baby. 617-266-6868. Okay. It is now a season of war on the Republican establishment. A huge civil war is now brewing in the Republican Party. My question to you is, which side are you on? 617-266-6868. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich has come out against Bannon, saying that his attacks on Corker and on other rhinos are, quote, stupid. These are Gingrich's words, not mine, saying this is going to needlessly split the Republican Party, demoralize the Republican Party, and allow the Democrats to come back and win either the House or the Senate in 2018, and thereby pave the way for Trump's impeachment. My rebuttal is a very simple one. All you have to do now is look across the Atlantic Ocean. Look across the pond. Austria has now turned to the nationalist right. They've now elected a nationalist in Austria. The Czech Republic is now poised to go nationalist. Croatia, Serbia, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary, England, obviously with Brexit, all across the European continent. The right is now on the march. Populist parties, nationalist parties, conservative parties that want to regain control of their borders and regain control of their national sovereignty are now slowly discrediting the political, financial, and media elites. What is happening in America is nothing more than an extension of what is already taking place, a prairie fire all across Europe. And so the establishment are part of the old, stale, corrupt political class that to me is now destined to be swept into the dustbin of history. Newt may rail all he wants. It's like putting your hand up against a wave. It's coming, and it's going to take all of you out. 617-266-6868. Dan in Medford. Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I missed your morning show for my drive to work. I used to call in before. I feel good now after hearing Mr. Bannon. I watched his speech on television. I was depressed. I'm a Republican, and I watched my party sell out my president. If all that we're after is to try and manipulate the vote to regain, to hold power for something that we're not going to wield, what good is it? My party controls the White House, the House, and the Senate, and my president can't get his agenda passed. That is absolutely ridiculous. McCain, Murkowski, Collins, they need to go. Bannon is absolutely right.
Dan, great call, and thank you for that call, Dan. Look, the question really is this. Who runs America? That's the question now. Who governs America? You, the American people, through your representatives, or the political and media class? It's very simple. Is it the establishment or is it the people? Who rules? And what Bannon is now saying is the peasants are done. And we're not going to take your word for it anymore. You can't tell us one thing during elections and then tell it and do the exact opposite when you're in power. Those days are over. And that's why you're right. He's put McManiac on notice, Murkowski on notice, Collins on notice, Jeff Flake on notice, Roger Wicker in Mississippi. I think he's going to go down. You're looking at Dean Heller in Nevada, Deb Fisher in Nebraska, Barrasso in Wyoming. I mean, they're going to go down like dominoes. And before you know it, it's no longer going to be just the Republican Party. It's going to be Trump's party. We're taking not just our country back, but our party back. And I tell the rhinos, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Russ in Boston. Go ahead, Russ.
Jeff, my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of Donald Trump. Let his truth march on, and let's get rid of the rhinos once and for all in this country. They are the enemies within. We need to get within. We need to get rid of them. We'll be much better off. And let me tell you this. Once we get rid of the rhinos, we can draw more people into the party because they will see the light of the true Republican Party.
Russ, what do you say, though, to Newt's argument and others that what you're doing is you're just splitting the Republican Party, weakening the Republican Party with these bloody primaries, and ultimately it's the Democrats that will benefit? What do you say to that argument?
I don't agree with him. Look, I agree with Newt most of the time. He's a brilliant person. But he's wrong on this one because the rhinos have gone too far. We have an overpowering central government, and the Republican Party just gets in bed with the Democrats, and they do nothing about it. This is our last chance, Jeff. If we don't turn it around now, it's over. There's no way we can recover from this as long as we keep the rhinos in the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party, and the Democrats go unchallenged because these people have no backbone. And the American left has gotten too strong in this country.
Amen. Russ, amen. Look, at best, the rhinos are nothing more than feckle weaklings who cannot stand up to the left. At best, if they're not outright collaborators, they're useless, feckless weaklings. And so it's time to break the duopoly. It's time to crush the Republicrats and the Democons. It's time to put America first. Okay, my friends, coming up next, Hillary Clinton actually takes a fall. I'm not kidding. I'll have an update on that. And she is publicly challenged in Britain, asked a question that no American reporter has the guts to ask. That story, your calls after this short news break. Let's take it to Evan in the newsroom. 136 here on the great WRKO. Okay, I'm not kidding. This is incredible. This is really incredible. So, Hillary Rotten is now taking her book tour, plugging her latest book, like she needs more money. But anyway, but let that go. Taking her book tour to across the pond to England. And allegedly she's been on multiple shows, and apparently she said it's been such a grueling schedule, plugging and hawking that book, that it led her to fall down a flight of stairs.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
So apparently now, according to the Daily Mail and other British media, Hillary Rotten, the Hildebeest, apparently dined last night at restaurant La Petite Maison, which is a French restaurant. Guess with who? Tell me. Who would she have a nice romantic dinner with at La Petite Maison? Take a guess, Brittany.
Probably wasn't Bill.
Think same sex.
Oh, must have been Huma.
There it is. There's Huma. The two of them with a couple of glasses of wine, eating some escargot. Candlelight dinner. Lights are dimmed. Books, hey, the book tour's not doing that well, so she needs a little bit of comfort. Well, apparently after a couple of glasses of wine, Hillary claims she was in her heels, and as she was walking with a cup of coffee, she said that she fell backwards.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
And apparently she fell, and that this led her to have a broken toe. So apparently she broke a toe. She's hobbling around on crutches. She's now wearing one of those protective boots, and she's now canceling a lot of her media appearances. So I guess she's just, the toe's broken, so she can't move her mouth.
Wait, she can't. That's what I was going to say. You break a toe, and you can't do interviews?
Apparently.
Suck it up, Buttercup. You want to make some money or not?
So apparently she broke a toe. She's got a protective boot. She's got crutches. You know, to me, that would be great. If I were her, I'd say, now that's how you do it. You really played the victim here. You know, maybe put some makeup on your face, make it look like a black eye or something, and then say, look what that guy Trump did to me. This was domestic violence. He beat me up, for God's sakes. Look at this. Look at this. Instead, she's canceled most of her media appearances, and you can see why. Because unlike here in America, where these fawning mainstream media reporters, I'm talking obsequious, sycophantic, groveling at her feet. In Britain, in England, they're not afraid to ask the questions, some tough questions, that American reporters would never have the guts to ask. So, listen now to our interview with Matt Fry, who asks her point blank, you know, you're blaming everybody. When are you going to start blaming yourself? Roll it, Brittany.
Your dynastic appeal, or perhaps it was the opposite, the fact that you were called Clinton, the fact that you were First Lady, basically trumped any novelty, if you forgive the term, of being the first female president of the United States.
Well, you know,
people looked at your name and your legacy more than they looked at your gender.
But that doesn't explain why I led all the way through, why I won the primary by 4 million votes, why I was winning. We had a great convention. I was thought to have won all 3 debates. That doesn't explain it, Matt. So that's why I had to really dig deep. And yes, I take responsibility. Obviously, there were things I must have been able to do differently in order to have won. But at the end, there was this really perfect storm. And so you had the Comey letter, and you had, and we will get to this, the enormous impact of the Russian theft of emails, the release of them by WikiLeaks, basically now a part of the Russian intelligence apparatus, and the weaponization of that. So these were all new phenomena.
So you're still blaming others more than yourself?
No. I take ultimate responsibility. I don't blame others, but I think it's important that people understand what happened. It's easy to say, well, you know, she wasn't a good candidate. Then why did I lead all the way to the end? Why did I get nominated overwhelmingly?
Did people lie at the polls?
No, I think there were intervening events that caused people to worry, to have second thoughts. And I think it's important to go into those, as I do in the book, because Russia's not going away as a threat to Western democracy. And what we've got to figure out is what happened in order to prevent it from happening again.
Sure. Now, stop it right there, Brittany. So, you know, he asked her once, and then he asked her again. We just didn't play the first part, but, you know, so you're blaming others. When are you going to blame yourself? Now, notice the spin and the BS. So, well, look at, I mean, I crushed Bernie. I won with so many votes, and there was a perfect storm, and this is why you didn't beat Bernie. You stole it from Bernie. That's to me that would, if I'm doing the interview, and they would never let me do an interview of Hillary Clinton, but let that go. If I was doing the interview, I go, whoa, Madam Secretary, with all due respect, you stole it from Bernie. Everybody knows you stole it from Bernie. You guys had the debates rigged. Were you not given the questions by Donna Brazil ahead of time? Yes or no? Did you not get the questions ahead of time? And since she gave them to you, why didn't you announce it? Why didn't you declare that you were given an unfair advantage in the debates with Bernie? You didn't win a thing, lady. That's point number one. Point number two, when are you going to continue with, I mean, this Russia bashing, blame the Russians, weaponizing WikiLeaks, weaponizing information. I mean, really, you sound like a 12-year-old. Did they hack the election system? No. Did they actually change one vote? No. So, lady, you lost. Now, don't blame Comey. Don't blame the Russians. Don't blame the Macedonians. Don't blame women, as you did. Women don't know their own self-interest. You're blaming everybody but you. Who decided not to go to Wisconsin? You. Who decided not to go to Michigan? You. Who decided to ignore Ohio and Pennsylvania? You. Hey, who is the one that took all the money from the big banks? You. Who was the one that turned the Clinton Foundation into a massive slush fund? You. So don't blame WikiLeaks because they published the damaging emails whereby you told the big banks at a speech, $500,000 a pop, by the way, that you wanted a common Western hemispheric market and a common currency. You were going to sell our sovereignty and the U.S. dollar down the river. You were owned, bought, and paid for, lock, stock, and barrel, by the big banks and by Wall Street. That's you. That's all you. That's why you lost. And then what is incredible, what is to me absolutely incredible, is you think after running maybe the worst presidential campaign in American history and being grotesquely out of touch and disconnected from the needs and problems of real people, you think with her husband being the serial sexual predator that he is, that when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, you know the expression, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones? You think, I wouldn't mention Donald Trump if I were you. No. She's asked about the Harvey Weinstein sex scandal, the biggest scandal now in Hollywood, without question, in Hollywood history. Women are coming out of the woodwork. He raped them. He sexually assaulted them. Everybody knew about his activities, including Hillary, who took untold amounts of money from him. In fact, they were buddies. They were chums. But you know who she blames? You guessed it. The sexual assaulter. Her words. Donald Trump. Roll it, Brittany.
I was shocked and appalled because I've known him through politics, as many Democrats have. He's been a supporter.
Yeah.
He's been a funder, and, you know, for all of us, for Obama, for me, for people who've run for, for office in the United States. So it was just disgusting, and the stories that have come out.
Stop it right there. Whoa. He's a funder, a donor, for me and for Obama. Everybody knows that. No. He wasn't just some guy who wrote a $2,000 check. He bankrolled the DNC. He was a major pillar of your campaign. He set up hundreds of fundraisers for both you and Obama. He activated the Hollywood elite to campaign on your behalf. You guys had lunch together. You guys had dinner together. You guys threw big soirees and parties together. We got the freaking pictures of you hugging him and him hugging you. The only thing I want to know is, did he grope you? Because he seemed to have groped everybody else. I mean, I could make a nasty joke now, but I won't, about why he didn't grope you. But let that go. So all of a sudden now, notice, well, yeah, he was like a donor, like a donor. Yeah, I think he cut me a check. I think maybe a check or two. Sure, maybe a couple thousand here, a couple thousand. Nothing much to see here. You guys were political bedfellows. What are you talking about? He bankrolled your husband. He bankrolled you. He bankrolled Obama. And what's worse, you enabled him. You legitimized him. You gave him the respectability and the credibility that he craved and that he needed to continue to prey and exploit women, just like you did for your own husband. You phony, you fraud, you. Now, all of a sudden, he's just a donor. So, after days and days, when the evidence is overwhelming and they know Weinstein can't survive this, then she sends out her little dinky statement about, what he did was it was disgusting. It was gross. Like you didn't know, like you're shocked. You knew and you didn't care. Come on, Hillary, just fess up. Roll it, Brittany.
So it was just disgusting,
Sure.
and the stories that have come out are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I really commend the women who have been willing to step forward now and tell their stories. But I think it's important that we not just focus on him and whatever consequences flow from the stories about his behavior, but that we recognize this kind of behavior cannot be tolerated anywhere, whether it's in entertainment, politics. After all, we have someone admitting to being a sexual assaulter in the Oval Office. There has to be a recognition that we must stand against this kind of action that is so sexist and misogynistic.
So I want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about this. She's actually blaming Trump. That the problem is not just Harvey Weinstein. The problem is, we have a guy in the White House, i.e. Trump, who's an admitted sexual assaulter. When I saw that, I said, boy, this gives new definition to the meaning, this gives new meaning to the term chutzpah. The Yiddish term chutzpah. Lady, you got some cheek on you, let me tell you. Because, first of all, he never admitted that he assaulted anybody. I don't know what tape you're listening to, okay? He just talked about how groupies will allow celebrities to touch them. That's number one. Number two, your husband? Hello? Do we have that, Brittany?
And this depends upon women coming forward and having the courage to come forward.
Right.
And yet in your book, the three women brought onto stage by Trump attacking your husband, and you kind of dismissed them. Was that the right thing to do? Are you sure about that?
Well, yes, because that had all been litigated. I mean, that was the subject of a huge, investigation, as you might recall, in the late 90s. And there were conclusions drawn, and that was clearly in the past. But it is something that has to be taken seriously. As I say, for everyone, not just for those in entertainment right now.
This woman's incredible. She's a pathological liar. First of all, when was the Kathleen Willey case litigated? When was Juanita Broaddrick litigated? When was all of these women that came out? Paula Jones, I could run. When were they, quote unquote, litigated? What is this woman talking about? So none of it was litigated. In fact, here's the real scandal. You want to know the real scandal? I'll tell you what the real scandal is. The real scandal of Harvey Weinstein and Hollywood and the Democrats is this. There is nothing new about Harvey Weinstein. Nothing. Literally nothing. Everything that Harvey Weinstein has now been accused of was accused of Bill Clinton, was alleged against Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was accused of sexually assaulting women. Bill Clinton was accused credibly of raping women. And that the powers that be helped him cover it up every step of the way. So why the shock over Harvey Weinstein? I mean, literally, why the shock over Harvey Weinstein? Woman after woman after woman has come out and said Bill Clinton either touched them, groped them inappropriately, or raped them. This was not litigated. She's lying. She's doing the very thing that she says we shouldn't do. She's smearing the victim. And frankly, if I was the British journalist, I would have jumped right all over her. I would have said, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you calling Juanita Broaddrick a liar? Excuse me, are you calling Kathleen Willey a liar? Are you calling Paula Jones a liar? Are you calling Monica Lewinsky a liar? Are you calling all of these women liars? You're a sexist pig, Hillary. Is it me, or is Hillary Rotten Clinton the biggest sore loser in history? No, I mean, really. Like, remember one time, once upon a time, people who lost presidential elections would lose gracefully? This one. I mean, talk about a sore loser. Paul in Dorchester. Go ahead, Paul.
Jeff, if you're not going to say it, Jeff, I'm going to say it. These people, Hillary Clinton, they all associated with the same group of people. The Jeff Epstein, the $1 billion jet-setting billionaires who have private islands, and Anthony Weiners, and Anthony Weiners, all these people, Harvey Weinstein. This woman is so obsessive-compulsive that she's not going to lay down and say, hey, I lost the election, I'm going to move on with my life. She's obsessive, Jeff. Jeff, another thing about her and her husband. Notice how she never included her husband. The husband who was in town yesterday for her Clinton Global Initiative. Somewhere, Jeff, someone's cleaning themselves or icing themselves down or getting stitches on their lips. And you don't know this is Bill Clinton. He was in town, and this is the type of people that they're associated with, and they will never give back the donation money. These moral outrage, it's selective moral outrage. Oh, let's be outraged if it's the Republicans, but if it's the Democrats, let's keep quiet and we keep all the donation money from Weinstein. Bingo. BS. I hate these people.
Bingo. Well, look, Jennifer Flowers, Monica Lewinsky, Paula Jones, Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broaddrick. The list goes on and on and on. And what Hillary Clinton essentially said in Britain was, well, if it happened a long time ago, it really doesn't matter. That's the champion of women's rights and women's equality? Oh, please. Okay, my friends, Trump decertifies the Iran deal. Good move, bad move. We'll have that story, your reaction, next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.